No, I don't think it will be. They've had a really, really difficult night, tough night. I just think in games of football like this, when you play lower league opposition, if you don't do the basics well, you're going to come unstuck. And in a game like tonight, you can talk to me about tactics and systems and formations. Just
coming on, they still kept the same formation and put round pegs in square holes. Didn't they? I mean, Matt was left wing back. But I can ask you about systems and formations, because even when the substitutions happened, even if they weren't like for like, so Mason Mount coming on.
Your spare man was almost in build-up when you needed that spare man sort of further higher up the pitch to make an overload out wide or through the middle.
Well, how many times was that spare man Delict, for example, in that build-up? You know, he'd be the one joining in, and with the.
Well, he was talking about it. So when he changed and put Mason Mount in that position, they still went with a back five, but they were building with a back five against Grimsby, who was sitting on the edge of the box.
Into positions, whatever the state of the game is, it just seems absolutely baffling to me that there's just no flex at all, you know. And I just feel that is definitely something. Yes, application, understanding of what the game. You should have an attacking player getting into the box, where a lot of the times it was a defender, an extra man. That it just seems crazy that he's so wedded to this formation at all costs and at any circumstance in a match, that he's almost thought they were miles off it in that first half in particular. As if they rolled up today and just had no idea of what's going to be expected at Grimsby Town away on a wet Wednesday night.
I think it's very easy to talk about throw-ins, corners, but it was absolutely the opposite. The way they played the right football at the right areas at the right time, they played with an intensity, with speed, lack of everything that came with the performance today. But I was so impressed with Grimsby, the way they played, and I said at half-time, I was expecting this direct football, all sorts of problems in the first half, and could have been 3-0 up before United scored a goal.
What's he trying to say there?
I think he may be referring to the players in the dressing room. Maybe they've spoke up. But listen, he's obviously hugely frustrated with the performance, the way they started the game. They were sloppy in possession, a lack of, like we spoke about at half-time. He alluded to it there. Grimsby were terrific. They stifled United. They couldn't gain a foothold in the game tonight, United. I mean, for the first 15 minutes, I don't think we've seen United enter Grimsby's half. I mean, they penned them in. It was a really, I mean, you didn't expect that. Intensity, no speed in the ball, you know, no progression with the ball.
What do you change?
Well, I think the point Phil's making about he doesn't want to talk about, there's certain games, chappers, where that almost becomes secondary, and if you're not prepared to do the basics, when he says my players spoke for me today, or spoke...
You don't want to talk about specific systems and formations, but he is saying he is seeing things there. He's not seeing anything new that isn't working. He's seeing the same things over and over again. Yeah, I think so as Natalie said to him...
He's saying what I think a lot of us thought watching it. There's a group of players that turned up tonight, and when they started that football match, did not fancy being anywhere near this game tonight. You could see it in the body language, you can see it in the attitude. Grimsby got after him, yes, and I think he's come out and said that. The system and the formation, for me, yes, should he tweak it? Should he give the players sometimes a better framework? In that first half, did they match that intensity? Did they run? They lost their duels, sprint distances, and I think that's the point he's trying to make. I've put a group of players out there tonight that should be able to go and do a job, and they haven't done it. And it's because they didn't want to do it.
Games like that, and you have to be alive from the first whistle. You know what to expect. You know it's going to be a tough game. You're playing against lesser opposition.
Do the basics right against anybody, then you come unstuck, and that's what happened for me tonight.
But I've got to keep saying, like, that game tonight had nothing to do with tactics on the pitch. Tactically, had nothing to do with the game. 30 yards sprinting behind. I just think tactically, it's out the window.
Okay, so if we take character and player personality
and cheering for every single ball, you've got to be so aggressive. You've got to concentrate more than ever in any game. You've got to be able to sustain attacks when you're attacking, and it was too easy for them to play out when United were attacking. And then
I'm sure there'll be United fans, if any of them are still watching, who will go, how many times do we have to go over this same discussion? How many times it has to be? It doesn't matter who the manager is. In some ways, it doesn't seem to matter. But you would have been, because those questions were asked about the character. So players come and go, managers come and go, and yet this question of culture and character hangs over this football club. Because there are players that he's brought in this summer there, but the same questions were asked under Ten Hag. They were asked under Mourinho. They were asked under Solskjaer. right? You were probably part of some of the squads. No.
Look, there's no getting away from it. There's no doubt in my mind that any player walks onto that pitch tonight and wants to put a performance in like that and play that way. Garte and Ahmad got caught in between a duel. One of them should have at least stopped the counter-attack by a cute little foul. The goals they conceded were so basic, and they just weren't at the race. But it just wasn't good enough. All over the pitch, they lost so many duels. Even for I think it was the first goal.
That it would come from Maguire, which it did. And I know Mbuemo scored, but they still had £200 million worth of new attackers on there, but it came from Harry Maguire.
Yeah, listen, he's a massive threat on set pieces in both boxes. Maybe on 75 minutes they gathered a bit of momentum, but I think that was because Grimsby tired. They got deeper and deeper, and we did call it during the show that, you know, if United get one here, they might get a second one straight. And any time in a game like that where you need a goal and you get a corner or a set piece, you know, he might have scored one against Fulham the other day when he came on as well. So wasn't good enough.
The other interesting thing he said towards the end was, we've got a game on Saturday, we've got Burnley on Saturday, and then we've got an international break where we will sort it out. But the sort it out is the bit I'm not...
Listen, they shouldn't have been anywhere near penalties, really. I think Grimsby should have been 3-0 up early in the second half, but...
Sure, where he goes with that. One, a lot of the players will be away anyway for international break. But what do? You can't get rid of... I mean, there's players there that have played so far this season. You know, you can't just go and wipe the deck. So, again, for me,